In this tutorial, we're going to be going over LeetCode 509, Fibonacci Number. And this is part of the math series, a series I highly recommend going through. Now we can see here this question is asking us the Fibonacci numbers commonly denoted Fn form a sequence called the Fibonacci sequence, such that each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, starting from 0 and 1, that is f of 0 equals 0, f of 1 equals 1, and then here's the formula f of n equals fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2 for n greater than 1. And this is what we're going to use here in our answer. So we can see here, for example, the input given is 2, the output's 1, and that's because of this here. Once again, we can scroll down to the third example, n equals 4, output's 3, and it's because of this formula here. We're going to come over to the coding section. For this, we could do a one-liner. We're going to do return n if n greater than 2, else self.fib n minus 1 plus self.fib n minus 2. Now, all we're doing here is essentially replicating this formula, and I'll explain why we use the 2 here in a second. For now, we're going to run a test case, and we can see it's accepted. Now, the reason we use 2 here is because it handles both of the test cases of the Fibonacci sequence a little bit better in just one line. We could have done if n equals 0, 0, return 0, or if n equals 1, return 1. But instead, n less than 2 covers both of the test cases at once, because if n's either 0 or 1, our function will just return us that value n back, as we know that f of 0 equals 0 and f of 1 equals 1, as given in our initial question. And then for any cases where n is actually greater than, it'll call the function recursively. Now, the reason we also use self here instead of just fib is because of the class example here. So we have to refer to itself, or else we'll get name errors. Now, I'll put some visuals on screen here to help you guys understand a little bit better. Now, one warning I will give about this answer in specific is that if you give any number greater than, say, 30, it will take a little bit more computationally. And in other answers, I'll do a second video on the same question where we can cover more efficient answers. For now, we're going to submit. And you can see, as I stated, it's a little bit slower, so this beats 30% in terms of runtime and 50% in terms of memory. Now, that's you can do LeetCode 509, Fibonacci number. Feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and I hope that helps.